I think it's such a nice day. We've been stuck inside. I think we need to go out.
Let's go outside.
You want to go outside?
Let's go outside.
Are you
Yes.
Are you game?
I love being outside. I love
We're going
it.
outside.
It's so nice to meet you.
We're walking. So this has got to be at least one of the more interesting places you had to do an interview.
Oh, I've never done an interview on a road. Yeah,
Well,
that's
you
for
know,
sure.
But you have from pews.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right. That's
We
right.
wanted to make you feel at home. That whole Sunday sermon thing gave us an idea.
Love this.
So,
This is smart.
are you having fun?
I'm having so much fun.
Good.
Yes, I'm loving it.
Other than this moment right now, what's the best thing that's ever happened to you?
Other than this moment right here?
Right.
Oh, honestly, the Dunkin', I had some Dunkin' this morning. The team got it for me and it was so good.
Wow. So for
Nice.
you, it's little things in life.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
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 I love Dunkin'.
Does this
Coffee.
all feel like a whirlwind? Because honestly, this was never like what you aspired to be. You were this piano player and you loved music, but you were like, now you're like a big time singer. Does it feel
Yeah.
crazy to be sitting in the position that you're sitting in now?
It honestly does. It's really weird to think about, to go back and think about the way that God had prepared me for this my whole life, but I never really was called to it until my brother passed away in 2017. And so just to be in this position, especially with you all growing up listening to KLOVE, and it's just honestly like such an honor to be here and to watch the way that God has just taken my story and done so many amazing things with it.
Long ways from living out there in the middle of nowhere in Kentucky. isn't
Yeah,
it? Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Very different.
Is it an adjustment?
It is an adjustment. I moved out 2 years ago and right out of high school and packed up and moved to Franklin, and so it's just a completely different life. But I love it. I love getting to tour and travel and do the whole thing, and it's what I'm called to do, so I really love it.
And you knew that calling came actually at your brother's funeral. You
Yes,
felt
yeah.
like God was speaking to you directly. What was that experience like to know, okay, God, in the midst of something so tragic, that God was speaking to you so specifically?
Yeah, honestly, it was such an insane feeling. I was walking on stage, sitting down at the piano, about to start What a Beautiful Name, and I just felt God's voice, and I just felt him speak to me, and he said, "And this is what I'm calling you to do. I'm calling you to praise and worship my name." And so I knew in that moment that I was called to music of some sort. I didn't know if that was a worship leader at a church or something like that, but I knew that God was calling me to music to worship him. And so I just kept following his leading, and God started to make it really clear that he wanted me to be a part of Christian music and, kind of write songs and release them to the world. And so it's been almost a year since my Jesus came out.
Wow.
And
A year?
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
So it's not been that long, but my life has changed so much this past year, and it's been amazing.
We have heard so many stories, and I think it's safe to say that My Jesus has had the most impact of any song last year.
It was huge.
Yeah.
And so many times, time and time
Crazy,
again, they
crazy,
said that
crazy.
this is the song that speaks to me. This is the
Yeah.
song that God wants me to
That's
hear.
amazing.
Incredible.
It's so humbling to hear stories like that because it's like it just sets your perspective back to, okay, like God can use anyone
Yeah.
in any story
Yes.
to change lives. And it's such an honor that he chooses specific people to be a part of that. And that the fact that he chose my story and my family to have to walk this out, it's just really amazing.
Okay, let me tell you about my Jesus. If you're going to tell somebody about your Jesus, what's the number one thing that you want to tell them?
That you can have a personal relationship with the Lord and you can know him intimately. I grew up in church my whole life, but I never knew the Lord. I, knew like the Bible and scripture, but I didn't know him specifically until I was in 7th grade, and I had a Bible teacher come to my school and teach me about Jesus. And I just remember feeling like the love of the Lord for the first time in my life, and it was like I knew that he loved me and I knew that he wanted a relationship with me. And so I think what's really important for people to know is that they can have a personal relationship with the Lord.
Yes.
It's not about just checking something off your list and going to church. And I don't even look at it as religion, because it's not. It's a relationship with the creator of the universe.
Yep.
And the one that made you and handcrafted you. And so I just, I love that we can have that relationship with the Lord. And I want people to know that. And I want people to have that with him as well.
And what freedom that you're giving too by saying it's not this religion and it's not like
not,
checking off all
yeah.
these boxes. It's true. It's real.
It is, absolutely.
That's a familiar story for so many people that do spend their entire life in church but don't know him.
Yes.
You're right.
And it
So
doesn't
true.
listen.
Yeah.
You heard it for quite a few Sunday sermons, though.
Yes, a
Old
ton.
school
Yeah.
preachers, man, those are the best.
I know, they are. And what's cool is like, I share this story every night at shows, but it's like, I grew up in church, but I didn't know the Lord at all. Like, not at all. I would not have called myself a Christian. But then when I became a Christian, I realized that God had used those Sunday sermons and all of those church services. He was building a foundation, just like he was using KLOVE every time I listened in the car to plant seeds in me. So that when I became a Christian and I finally realized like I can have this personal relationship with the Lord, I had all of this knowledge of the Bible and I had all of this like foundation that God had been using and building my whole life.
So any of those Sunday sermons you just remembered like off the top of your head?
I remember one on Easter Sunday. It was probably like a couple of years before I gave my life to the Lord, and I just remember, honestly, I definitely had a moment with Jesus on that day, but I didn't accept him that day into my heart and my life. But I just remember our pastor just preaching about the love of Jesus and the faithfulness and just the whole story of him dying on the cross and coming back to life and just that whole thing, and that really hit me hard. And I remember that kind of being a day that marked my life and me going, okay, there's something to this. But in that moment I didn't really acknowledge like, okay, let's give our lives to the Lord. But then it's like looking back now, I'm like, God used that moment to do something within me. And even though that wasn't the specific moment that I was like, Lord, come into my heart, he still used it. And so it's cool how God will do that. And it's true, like what you said, like a lot of people grow up in church, but they don't know the Lord.
Yeah.
But God doesn't waste those years in
My
church.
ride's here.
So
Let's jump in.
let's go.
I think
I want you to take us with Ann in her church. What did it look like? What were you involved? Were you in like a kids program? What was it like for you going to church?
I went to a Presbyterian church, and it was actually really different than the kind of worship that I do now, but it was like hymns only.
Wow.
You would never hear a worship song or
Sure.
a Christian song, Christian, contemporary song. It was always like hymns and
Old
it
Rugged
was-
Cross, How Great Thou Art.
Yes.
Yep.
Victory in
Totally.
Jesus. That's
Yeah.
my favorite.
That's Amy's.
Yeah.
Please
And
don't have her sing it.
I could. And
No.
anytime
No,
I'm
no
available.
duets.
Yes.
No duets. No duets.
but I that was kind of it. It was just like a very traditional church.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, another thing is like when I became a Christian and I started falling in love with the Lord, and I just wanted to like put my hands up and, like worship the Lord. And that was not the environment at our church. It was like very traditional and, we're going to do this and sing the hymn and all that kind of stuff. And, but there's such beauty about that too. I think like both sides, like being able
Yes.
to sing a hymn and being able to just like reflect on who wrote the hymn and going back and just seeing the way that God used all of those people. It's just so amazing. But I grew up in an incredible church and I loved it, and I was involved I was in the kids ministry, and I would love, like when I was older, doing the nursery. I love little kids, so I
Oh, boy.
loved to be a part of that and be involved in that. And then when I moved out, it was hard leaving that church, but I've got some really special memories there.
Do you think, I always talk about the connection between the country and Christian music, and having grown up in Kentucky, man, first of all, some of the most beautiful country you will see anywhere.
The most beautiful state. Yeah.
Farm life when you were a little one, what was that like?
So I grew up in Lexington, Kentucky, and then we have a farm in Barberville, Kentucky.
Beautiful.
About an hour and a half south. My granddad owns 700 acres in Kentucky, and it's been in our family for like 5-6 generations. So it's just been
Wow.
passed down.
What kind of a farmer?
It's basically, we have cows, and we've got horses and all sorts
buddy.
of types
Can you
of
milk a cow and all
things.
that?
You don't
I've-
milk a horse. I've tried.
I know, but
They
can
get very
she do
angry.
it?
I wouldn't try it.
I've not done it, but I have had so many people in my family beg me to do it, and I'm just like,
Man.
I am not going to do that. That's disgusting.
Yes, that's a goal.
It's
That-
not on your
no.
milk bucket list?
No, that is
I
absolutely
love
disgusting.
it.
Have
Good
you
for
ever done
you.
that?
Yes.
Wow, you don't
But
think it's gross?
I'm not good and not at all, but I think
Yeah.
it's something everybody should experience.
Yeah.
Not
Have
at
you
all.
done it?
No, I had to milk a goat once.
Do you
Sounds
have
good.
fun, crazy memories from being on Grandpa's farm?
I do. Honestly, they're all with Jacob, my brother. We would go every weekend. When he was in college and high school, he would pick me up on a Friday afternoon, and we'd come back on like a Sunday night, and we'd drive together and just go hiking on the farm. We've got some trails, and we take our side-by-side and go all over the farm and shoot guns on the farm. And
Yeah,
it
buddy.
was just so much fun.
Got to.
and great memories for sure. So such
Okay.
a special place.
I heard the craziest thing. You wanted to work for NASA.
Yes.
Doing what?
Wanted to be an astronaut.
Oh,
Yes.
You want to play astronaut right
Amazing.
now? We can play astronaut right now. Just turn around, put your
do
feet
you
up like
play
this.
astronaut?
No, then you hang your head up backwards like this and go, Captain Wilson, we are ready. You got to lift off. We got flying jets. But you got to move slow. You got to do that slow hand thing.
Yes, that's so
Storybox.
true. I grew up loving the stars and
Sure.
loving space, and my mom said that when I was like 4 or 5, I would just like look up into the sky
Oh,
all the
come on.
time and just like want to go to space. And then when I became a Christian in 7th grade, I just really fell in love with the Lord, and I've always been someone who loves nature. I love being outside, I love being at the farm, but I knew that there was so much more to God's creation that very, very few people get to see with their own eyes
Yeah.
in space. And
Oof.
all of the stars, it's
That's
just such
chills,
a cool,
man. That's cool.
such a cool thought. And to think that we live in this little ball in space, it's just mind-boggling. So I wanted to go see that with my own eyes, and math and science came like natural to me, but writing and English did not. And
Yeah.
so the fact that I'm a songwriter now, it makes no sense. But like math and science, they were just like fun, and so it was something that I enjoyed, and I just wanted to go down that path.
Space tourism. Come on. You're a big
That's
whoop-de-doo
so
superstar
true.
now.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
That's like a dream. I mean, you could go up into space and you could sing.
That
From-
would be insane.
from space.
I feel like that could totally happen within the next
Oh, give it 5
20,
years.
30
With you,
years.
it's possible.
But you got to be careful in a vacuum. No one would hear you. I mean, you'd want to be inside some sort of vehicle.
Yes,
if you're
and they
gonna
have
do
the
that. You don't want to
videos
just be
of-
floating
Yeah,
around
yeah,
out there
totally.
because no one hear anything.
Yeah.
That's wild. And I also love, I feel like you dream big dreams and you have a lot of encouragement for a lot of people, especially other women, and being who you are. And one thing that you responded saying, I wish that I would have known this before I started, is just to be me, just to be who I am, and
Yeah.
to cling to the things that God made special inside of me. And you really have that
Absolutely.
message, not only for people, but specifically for women in general.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think there's something about the scripture, delight yourself in the Lord and he will give you the desires of your heart. It was always like a huge scripture for me growing up. And I remember just always kind of quoting that in my head and remembering that. And there would be so many seasons of life where it was like I would be walking through something hard and then I would remember like God's going to give you the desires of your heart if you delight yourself in him. And so that's kind of when the whole wanting to be an astronaut thing, it was like that was a desire of my heart, but the Lord truly knew what the actual desire of my heart was.
Yeah.
And so he exchanged that with the desire to worship him and to do music now. And it's
my.
like, so, like I love space, love all of that, but it's like my true desire is to just worship him, and I just want to tell the world about him. And I know it's because suffering through a loss and a tragedy, it's like it sets your perspective on heaven, and you're like, okay, this world, this earth does not matter,
Nope.
but really what matters is heaven. And so I wanted to spend the rest of my days telling the world about Jesus so that I can take as many people with me to heaven and that we don't have to walk through suffering and loss.
It's a shame you're not focused.
Earth.
Wow. Yeah, and I think that you're doing that. It just blows my
thank
mind how
you.
quickly people, when Skip says it, honestly, we have heard so many people love the song My Jesus. I think that it just inspires them. It's like an anthem. Let me tell you about him, because he does bring
Yeah.
hope in the world that feels hopeless. And it's just
Yeah.
really cool to see you're so excited about it, because
Aw,
you're
thank
already
you.
making such a huge difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks.
What surprises people when they find out about you, other than NASA? That blew my socks off.
I think people like freak out over my age. I just turned 20,
Yeah.
and people are like, "How are you only 19, 20, whatever?" And so it's so funny to me because it really is crazy to think about the fact that I'm only 20 and that just almost 5 years ago, my brother passed away, and then only 2 years ago did I start writing songs, and then only a year ago did I release My Jesus. And so just to think how quickly God took this like desire he planted within me and then just opened the doors, and it was just like one after the other, and then just placed me where I am today. And so it's really cool when I get to share that with people, and I think people are amazed and inspired. I know a lot of girls that are younger than me are able to go like, God can do anything with any age.
Yes.
That's another thing is like, a lot of people feel just because they're young that God's not going to use them, or that he'll use them way later in their life. But God uses everyone in every season and stage of your life. And I'm literally a walking testimony to that. God
Yeah, you are.
chose to use my family's story of loss and, gave me My Jesus, and we wrote it and released it, and then look what he's done with it. And so it's just, God can use anyone in every story.
And touring with people like Matthew West and
Ah,
Zach
That
Yes,
bum.
which is insane.
What is that like for you? And are you
crazy.
do you have like pack all the snacks? Do you sleep a lot? What do you like? You're busy.
I am. I love touring though. I think it's so much fun. Sleeping on a tour bus is amazing. I get the best sleep.
Give it
I'm
10
telling
years.
you, I do.
The best
I get
sleep.
the best sleep. When I come back home, it takes me a couple nights to
Yeah.
adjust because of the movement,
vibration.
and the vibration, and it's super dark in your bunk. I bring all the snacks. I bring my Dunkin' coffee every morning. I love like waking up first thing and doing my Bible study and just spending time with the Lord in the mornings. But my favorite part is looking out into the crowd when I sing My Jesus and just watching the faces. There's some times where people will just be weeping on, you know, on their knees, kneeling, and there's sometimes where I saw a guy the other night with his cowboy hat raised in the air, just like worshiping the Lord.
That's high praise in Texas, man. I'll tell you what.
And it's just so like, it just, honestly, it takes everything in me not to cry every single night, because I'm just literally firsthand watching what God is doing through each of these lives at every show through my song, and just to watch that is amazing.
And I think one step which makes it even more powerful is that when he makes a way where there seems there's no way at all, because you lived that. I mean, going through experiencing the death of your brother, that just, and how do you come back from that? You're singing from the heart, true feelings.
Absolutely. So good.
It's been a bummer of a year, I'm sorry. What a drag.
So what's next for Ann Wilson? I mean, I know you're just getting started, but are you foreseeing that this is going to be years down the road, still up on stage singing?
Yeah, I know that God's called me to this, and I know that God has placed this calling on my life for however long he wants. And, you know, it's like I'm very open to whatever God has for me, and I try to live my life with my hands open all the time and surrender of like, whatever you want, Lord, I'm just your vessel, use me in whatever way you want to. And so, but I definitely am able to I've just been witnessing how God has been using my songs to reach a lot of people, and I'm very honored that he would choose me to do that. And so I've got a lot of touring coming up this year. I'm out on the road with Zach Williams right now, and we'll be out in the fall with Casting Crowns, which I'm really excited about. And just a lot of fun stuff. I know, right? It's
Man, those bums. Mike.
Yeah, it's going to be so fun.
It's going to be awesome, and I'm excited to see what God continues to do through my ministry. And
you got to put like a helmet on and a seatbelt and just.
I know, and just
okay,
go.
God, where are you taking me?
Yeah, absolutely.
It'd be more like a space.
That's
see
true.
more of that theme.
That's true.
Yeah, you can go back, edit, you can fix that one.
Yeah.